What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another market recap. Today is September 25th, 2025. So interesting session. Obviously I had this Euro Aussie trade that I talked about yesterday that I was in. So we'll go over that first. I adjusted a few things after I took this trade. The main kind of adjustment is I originally had this kind of trend line drawn here, but I instead moved the trend line to this. I felt like it fit a little bit better, as well as I adjusted this level that I had drawn in. Originally, I had it kind of drawn in at the open and close prices in this 1 hour time frame there, as well as here, which I think still work. But after we kind of got this pullback and then consolidation, and then we started to get that rejection and breakdown, it made more sense to adjust it to the high there, for just a visual aspect when it came to positioning my stop a little later when I did P1. So, but still general same concept. I think I may have originally called this a wave one, but after I started kind of looking at it after the watch list yesterday, realistically, I think this is a wave 5 CBO. So like wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and playing wave 5. So wave 5 is towards the tail end of the run. It can start to lose steam at that point and do what happened here. Essentially got a double bottom and a reversal. So, but yeah, I was in this trade for almost 12 hours. I went over the entry yesterday and just a pullback, break on a 30-second time frame. Continued sideways until 7 o'clock or so my time. So a few hours after I made the watch list. I finally got a breakdown here on the 10-minute that broke the 10-minute 50 pretty clearly. So at that point I went to P1, I clipped the high, removing most risk from the position. I probably had 0.4 or so risk still on the table. And then price continued down, started trending on a 2-minute time frame, as well as got a retest here. It's annoying how this stuff gets in the way sometimes. Got a retest here on the 10-minute 50 and a follow through. So on the close of the breaking this previous low right here, I moved my stop to P2, which essentially is clipping that high on the 10-minute, removing nearly all risk from the trade. I think there's still like 0.1, 0.2, not a lot. Basically a break-even trade at this point. And then, yeah, then price just kind of consolidated here for a while for the next hour or so after executing P2. I saw this kind of trend developing here on the 30-second and 2-minute. And I kind of have a decision to make at this point. And that is, I have two different types of fail safes, exits. So exit on like a 2-minute break of trend, or a exit, like fail safe 2 for me would be to exit on a 10-minute 50 break. So which would have been there, right? And yeah, I also had some qualms in my position sizing after the pivots rolled over. I think this kind of stop I had is a little, I mean, I had this stop because I wanted it over the high over here, but realistically, I think my position sizing should have been tighter. And with a tighter position sizing, I would have been roughly at a 1-to-1 right here, which is another way I was kind of looking at this. But I mean, with my original position sizing, my 1-to-1 was down here at these lows, the open and close prices on the 1 hour time frame, which I think work. I think it works better for how I originally looked at this as like a wave 3. But realistically, this is a lower low, so you could count that as a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and this is the kind of playing wave 5. So I chose to be a little aggressive on my management here. And I ended up going for a fail-safe exit when it broke this trend here on the 2-minute time frame, 30-second time frame. I essentially had a breakdown, this kind of double bottom here, which lined up with the previous price over here. And so, yeah, I just chose to exit on a break of it for 0.52R. And then price, went sideways. The fail-safe 2 for me would have been here. So if I would have exited there, it would have been for 0.25 or so. So even less. It eventually did push down to my 1R target, but it kind of just tapped it and then reversed from there. So I don't think I would have captured even 1R on this. Likely if I was still holding this trade and it broke down, then I probably would have exited on a 2-minute break here for 0.6, 0.7R, something like that. So still profit's profit, still like the trade. It just didn't really get the full follow through I was looking for, which probably is mainly due to the 4-hour price action. Still think this has potential to have a nice kind of daily movement here. Just don't know necessarily exactly when that will occur. But all in all, nice trade. The rest of these Aussies all, had a similar kind of pushes all at the same time. Some of them played out a little bit better than others. I think Aussie Swiss kind of played out to a full target if taken, but you had to trade through more on this 1 hour than you did for Euro Aussie. And then the dollar pairs we had on watch, they all pretty much played out. I think mainly due to news. Dollar GDP came out super positive and pushed these down. So like a bullish dollar move. But unfortunately, they didn't really pull back except for like the main two I was looking for was dollar Swiss and euro dollar. And they didn't pull back to value for me to consider trading them. Nor honestly was I awake when GDP came out. But I think dollar Mexican had the potential to be taken. And then dollar ZAR also had the potential. But today is a nicer trade than it was yesterday. Today it's kind of lining up to be a pretty nice CBO. So we'll look at that when we get to the watch list. And then these Huff pairs played out. The only main one of these Huffs that I potentially could have traded was this dollar Huff. I did get a pullback to the 1 hour 50, but my alert was set at 0.382 and it never really got triggered. But ultimately the idea of the trade did play out pretty nicely actually. But again, mainly due to dollar news. It looks like lagging here. There we go. But yeah, all the Huffs pretty much played out. So, and I had them position size for 3-to-1 trades and they all played out pretty nicely. This Swift Huff was the one I preferred the most, but the spread was just a little too large. I think it was tradable-ish. I don't know. The spread kind of sucked on it. It's not ideal by any means, especially if I got a spread that was almost non-existent on dollar Huff versus Swiss Huff. But they had a pretty nice entry here on like your 2-minute time frame, like right there, I think. And then if taken there, you could have just rode this and then exited on like a 30-second, 15-second kind of break of that trend, or you could have held it all the way to the full target for 3R. Or if this is position sized as a normal kind of 2-to-1 position, then you would have hit the 2-to-1 target pretty quickly there. So nice stuff. And then EuroCAD played out. It kind of consolidated the same thing as Euro Aussie for a long time. And then finally broke down again right around the same time as the US GDP news came out. This is potentially lining up to be a CBO today. So again, we'll look at it with the watch list. So yeah, cool. I'm going to go build my watch list for the upcoming session, and I will catch you guys here in a minute. All right, and we're back. So I have not a ton on watch tonight. I have mainly a CAD group. I have this dollar group, but really just kind of one pair, like day trade wise out of the dollar. These other two are more so 4-hour swing trades I will talk about. And then I have a random euro pair, which is an exotic. Primary for me is this Aussie CAD. I think it's pretty clean. The only thing I don't like about it is if you look at this 4-hour, right? Like it's a pull down and whatnot. Like I just wish this price action had broken this 4-hour low, and I feel a lot better about it. I do like the 1-hour price action, right? Like you have this kind of trend following up. You have a clean break of that trend. So a clean kind of wave 1 break coming back for like a wave 3 CBO. It would technically be an IBO on your 4-hour time frame, and with the pullback, it's going to be an ACB on your 10 minutes. So all three of my time frames align, which I prefer. Position sizing fits. I have decent stop protection behind the EMAs. There's a kind of a support level and resistance level in here. Previously support, previously resistance, right? As well as over here, previously resistance. So an okay level. It's been recently respected, and that's mainly all I really care about. MACD wise, you do have bearish MACD. You know, you can see the divergence right here. So it looks all right. It's just mainly this low right here that sketches me out a little bit, but I think it's probably still worth taking the trade. Like 10-minute price action looks pretty nice. Why I like it. It has one of my more preferred patterns to trade. This double top and then a break, a retest, and follow through, right? So you do have a double top on your 1-hour, 10-minute, and almost sort of kind of as well on your 4-hour, but more so your 1-hour and your 10-minute. And has a clean breakdown. So just mainly kind of the 4-hour time frame that sketches me out a little bit. Daily time frame wise, I mean, you got decent candles. It's all right. It's not the best, not the worst. CAD PLN is another option I've got. Is an exotic pair spread right now. I mean, granted, we're past the first hour of the day. This should tighten up more, but it may not tighten up for me until London. So if this entry occurs in the next few hours, then I don't imagine I'll be able to take this one. But I prefer taking an Aussie pair anyways in the next few hours, since we'll be during like Asia session. That's typically when Aussie, Kiwi, Yens like to move. So I prefer to take a pair that moves primarily in that session. But yeah, I think it's still an option. Same kind of concept, right? Like playing in this case, this is kind of like a wave 5 CBO rather than a wave 3. But I guess you could look at Aussie CAD and claim this is a wave 5 as well. But more so I'm viewing it as a wave 3. But nice clean break, coming back for retests and a play a follow through. So IBO on your 4-hour, CBO on your 1-hour, and with a pullback, it'll be an ACB on your 10-minute. So all three time frames align again. Looks pretty good. Daily time frame wise, honestly, it's probably a little better than Aussie CAD, right? Like you do have kind of deceleration at this level and nice kind of bullish candles. You still do have the kind of weird price action of not breaking the 4-hour high yet, which I don't love. I mean, you do have a higher high on your 1-hour on both of these kind of setups. It's just you haven't full out had a trend change yet on your 4-hour time frame. So just kind of the main negative. EuroCAD, similar concept. I think the daily is nice on here. Like we've been waiting for a breakdown on EuroCAD for a while. So this fits in that kind of bias and narrative. This would be a wave 1, wave 2. This is playing a wave 5 CBO, so it fits in that aspect. Just a little bit of a shallow break on your 4-hour time frame. I'd prefer a deeper break on the 4-hour, but a decent break on the 1-hour, like a clean kind of CBO there. You have an okay kind of resistance level, previous support right here, previous resistance, previous support. It's okay, but it's, again, not the best level in the world, but we're also kind of at all-time highs. So it's about all you're really going to get at this point. And then again, the same funky price action where we haven't really broken 4-hour lows. So and that's consistent with all these CAD pairs, is they all have this 4-hour low that hasn't been broken. But the 1-hour price action, 10-minute price action look pretty good. CAD Swiss, again, similar concept to all these others. It's just the levels don't line up as nice. I still think it's an option, but it's definitely a secondary option. But something to watch and consider. But I'd entertain this Euro CAD, CAD PLN, and mainly this Aussie CAD. So preferably the Aussie CAD, but I'd entertain these other two as well, depending on what they look like, what kind of deceleration we get around the value area. For the dollar group, I should probably flag this primary. The primary pair I have is this dollar ZAR. So nice kind of, break of the trend here. Viewing this as a wave 5 CBO. So wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 pullback, play wave 5. So yeah, it is an exotic pair. Spread's pretty astronomical at the moment. It's not tradable for me at the moment. So it just depends when this pulls back. I don't think most of the time I think this pair is only tradable for me during New York is going to be the problem. So if that's the case, then and this pulls back in the next few hours, I probably won't be able to take this trade. But it's some solid price action. Pretty clean. And we saw this IBO yesterday, but we were primarily waiting for the breakout. We've got the breakout now. It's a clean, strong breakout. So it has momentum there. It's an IBO on your 4-hour. It's a CBO on your 1-hour. It'll be an ACB on the 10-minute. So all your time frames, again, they align. Daily time frame wise, you have decent candlesticks, so looks good there. I don't really have too many qualms with this. Clear break of trend, looks good. You have an inverse kind of head and shoulders here on your 1-hour. You can also see it on your 4-hour. Looks good. It'll just be the question of, will I be able to take it, do the spread? I don't know. And then the other day trade setup was this Euro Singapore. Similar to Euro CAD, right? Like wave 1, wave 2, playing a wave 5 CBO. But it's an IBO on your 4-hour time frame. I just prefer a deeper breakdown. Same thing as Euro CAD, but it still lines up relatively okay. 10-minute wise, it'd essentially be an ACB on a pullback. So we'll see how this one develops. It's a secondary setup for me, but I think it's still an option for sure. I think you also have, you have some pretty large bearish MACD on your 1-hour time frame. Probably also on your 4-hour, I imagine. Yeah, you're starting to get some bearish MACD on your 4-hour time frame. And you have room to move on pretty much all these pairs, right? Like plenty of room to move to the daily 50 on Aussie CAD, room to move to the daily 50 CAD PLN, plenty of room to move on Euro CAD, plenty of room to move on CAD Swiss, right? Same thing with dollars are, plenty of room to move. So there's not much in the way from the entry point to the target on any of these trades, which I do like. So. And then I have these Euro Aussie and dollar Swiss. And these aren't really necessarily day trades. What I find interesting about them, if we switch to the swing trading layout targeting 4-hour runs, is these are lining up like this Euro dollar. From a weekly perspective, you have a pretty nice chart right now, right? Like you're starting to hit some pretty decent resistance right here. So we have some nice deceleration on the daily time frame. We're starting to get a breakdown on the daily time frame. 4-hour wise, It's broken a trend here, right? So kind of wave one, wave two. So consider this your IBO. And then we've had a strong breakdown. So this is lining up to be a 4-hour CBO, which will, if it continues a little further, it'll pretty much be a daily IBO. And then you have plenty of room to move from a pullback here on your weekly time frame to like the weekly 50, as well as these previous highs in the weekly time frame. So rather interesting trade. I don't know if this trade will really present itself tomorrow. I think we're going into the last session of the week. Yeah, going into the last session of the week. But this is likely to be something next week. But it has potential to also present an entry sometime tonight or tomorrow. So I'll be watching it. It's rather an interesting play. So, and then dollar Swiss, similar thing. You have a pretty nice weekly right here, right? You're starting to get this kind of double bottom on your weekly time frame, a nice low test candle coming. It looks like we're forming potentially. If we get a strong push tomorrow, you'll have a bullish engulfing on your weekly time frame. So nice candlesticks on 1 hour. 4 hour as well, hitting the same level that we've been watching for a while now. So looking pretty good. There was this IBO swing trade earlier in the week that we talked about that I sat out of like an idiot for some reason, but played out beautifully, right? Like straight to target, essentially as soon as it broke out, just kind of rode there. Very little management you would have had to do for this trade. So yeah, it needs a further push is the only thing like right now. It's not quite ready. Like price needs to push a little higher, like something like this. And then we get a retracement, and then we play that retracement to like these previous lows as well as the weekly 50. So potential for a pretty large bullish move on the dollar is what we're starting to see here on these swing trading layouts. So likely some bullish bias dollar plays coming up for the next week or two. If we can see a continuation in this price movement and get a nice kind of break and then a retest at some point next week. So yeah, I'll be keeping my eye on these for sure. Pretty clean. But for the most part, I'll be looking to take probably one of these CAD pairs and potentially dollar ZAR if the spread will calm down for me. Yeah. As development watch wise, still watching all the Kiwis. They're breaking down, but further, so not really the direction I've been waiting for. But it's just going to make them nicer when they do eventually turn and get the reversal. But they're starting to line up, and I mean they're just pushing. You see here on Aussie Kiwi, like this strong run on your daily time frame. So eventually there has to be a pullback, and when this has a pullback, it'll be a super quality IPO. Same thing with this Kiwi Swiss. Looking pretty nice. Same thing with Euro Kiwi. Looking, I mean, every single day these start to look nicer and nicer. We've been watching them all week, if not for 2 weeks. Same thing with Euro Kiwi here. I mean, Kiwi Yen. Pound Swiss, not even a Kiwi pair, starting to look pretty nice as well, right? Looking for a potential breakout, IBO style play, maybe even a CBO, depending on the break. It could be very soon because we're sitting at daily lows, right? Here, some pretty nice daily level right now. So this does even have like potential ABO vibes, like playing a breakout play from right here, like right now. But I prefer to wait for the breakout, play like an IBO. But still some pretty clean price action here on Pound Swiss. Euro Yen, also pretty clean, starting to almost reach these all-time highs that we've been watching all week. Eventually, when this breaks down, also be pretty clean. Euro Pound, I think we can probably adjust this level at this point to the open and close prices. If not the absolute peak price right there, might be a better level. But at any point, the euro pound can break down, and it should be a pretty quality setup short. Kiwi CAD. We had that small day trade earlier in the week. I think it was right here. But never really got the full breakout. If anything, we just got a breakout to the downside if you draw in the level that you could have traded off earlier this week. But again, this could just be a false break, come up, get a inverse head and shoulders at that point and play a reversal. And then it'd be a pretty quality setup. And then Swiss yen, also nice kind of price action on your daily, just waiting for a larger move. So a lot of these pairs I have on development are looking really nice for larger kind of daily moves. And they're having the micro time frames. So like the 4 hour, 1 hour, 10-minute time frames are all confirming that. So whenever they do turn, there'll be a lot of opportunities here in this development watch list. So anyways, that's all I got. And I will catch you guys next week. See you.